will talk about question number 9, and it is all about using modifier. Dear learners, before going to the main discussion, let's see a sample question. Here you can see a picture of a sample question, and it is written on our national poet Kazi Nazrul Islam. You see, here is a direction for you. Let's read the direction first. Read the following text and use modifier as directed in the blank spaces. Let's read it again. Read the following text and use modifier as directed in the blank spaces. Now I think it's clear to you, the whole question is about using modifier. Here you see 10 blank spaces like A, B, C, D, and in each space inside the bracket here is a direction for you. So you have to complete this very blank space according to this very direction. Like in A, it's written here pre-modify the noun. In B, post modify the verb. In C, use an appositive. In D, use a possessive pronoun. In E, use an infinitive phrase to post modify the verb. In F, use an intensifier to pre-modify the adjective. G, post modify the verb. 8, use a noun adjective. I, use a determiner. And J, use a participle to modify the noun. So dear learners, now I think it's very clear to you that if you want to do really well here or in this very question section, that you must know certain things like what is modifier, types of modifier according to their positions, function of adjectives, function of adverbs, elements which are used as adjectives, elements which are used as adverbs, determiners, appositives, participle, noun adjective, intensifier, infinitive, infinitive phrase, and so on. Dear learners, throughout our discussion, we will try to learn all these very elements one by one. Dear learners, first let's know about what is modifier. The word modifier comes from the word modify. A modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that functions as an adjective or adverb to give extra information about another word. So modifier is not only a word, it may be a phrase or it may be a clause, and I hope that you have a very clear ideas about phrase and clause. And the function of modifier is adjectives and adverb. The main purpose of using modifier is to give extra information about another words. Dear learners, if we want to make it specific, a modifier is either an adjective or adverb. So you should remember all the modifiers what we use in a sentence, all of them works as adjective or adverb. Now it's clear to us that if we want to do well in modifier, that we must have a very clear ideas about adjectives and adverb, because all the modifiers are adjective or adverb. Now first let's know about adjective. Adjective modify or describe noun or pronoun. That means if we want to modify a noun, we must use adjective. So adjective always thinks about or talk about or describe a noun or a pronoun. Now adverb. Adverb modify or describe verb, adjective, or another adverb. That means that if we want to modify a verb or if we want to modify an adjective, that we must use adverb. Okay, so adverbs describe verb, adjective or adverb. Let's see some example. Here in first example, it's written here, please use 3 white flowers in the arrangement. Dear learners, here flowers is a noun and 3 and white, these very two words are adjective because they are giving extra information about these very noun flowers, and the 3 and whites are modifier. And in second example, I will seriously consider your suggestion. Here consider is a verb and seriously is an adverb because this very word seriously is describing the verb consider. So now I think it's clear to you that all the modifiers function as adjectives or adverb. Now dear learners, we will try to know about the types of modifier. According to their positions, modifiers are 2 types, pre-modifier and post-modifier. Pre means before, post means after. That means the modifier which sits before, it's called pre-modifier, and the modifier which comes or sits after, then it is called post-modifier. Let's see an example. A young girl with long hair danced in a club. Here girl is a head noun and a young and with long hair, the phrase is giving or modifying the noun girl. You see young sits before this noun and with long hair this phrase sits after this noun. This is why young is called pre-modifier and with long hair is called post-modifier. And one thing you should remember that a modifier is not only a word, it may be a phrase or clause. We have already learned it. So modifiers are 2 types, pre-modifier and post-modifier. Pre-modifier sits before and post-modifier sits after. Now dear learners, we will take some example from the sample question which we have already seen, and we will try to analyze that very sample question and try to solve it by using the ideas what we have just learned. Here you see an example has been taken from the sample question and it is written like this. Kazi Nazrul Islam is called the Shelley of Bengali literature. Here it is in A written he was a poet. You see here inside the bracket a direction is given for you, pre-modify the noun. Now I think that we have already learned what is pre-modify, and we have also learned that what is used to modify a noun, and we know that to modify a noun we must use an adjective because an adjective modify or describe a noun or a pronoun. So let's see some more example. Here you see in first example, the team has a dangerous batsman. Here batsman is a noun and dangerous is an adjective because it's modifying the noun batsman, and that means dangerous is giving extra information about batsman. Now in second example, I have 10 candies in my pocket. So candies is a noun. Now I think it's clear to you 10 is an adjective here because it is giving the extra information about or describing the noun candies. So let's see what is the probable answer of this very question. Your answer is Kazi Nazrul Islam was a great, renowned, famous novel poet. You see all the words what I have written here, all of them are adjectives. So don't be confused. Different student answer may be different. So your answer may vary, but that what you should remember that to modify modify noun, that you must use an adjective. Here, great, renowned, famous, and novel, all the words are adjective. So now I think it's very clear to you. To modify a noun, we must use an adjective. Let's take, dear learners, let's take another example from the sample question. Another example from the sample question. It is question number B, that it's written here. We wrote post modified verb in every branch of Bengali literature. You see in this very question the direction is post modified verb. Okay, we have already learned that what is post modifier, that it will sit after the word, it will modify. Okay, and the verb. Okay, and this is very now easy for us to identify that we have to modify the verb wrote, and you have to use the modifier after this very verb. Okay, now that we also have already learned that to modify a verb we must use an adverb, like adverbs modify or describe verb, adjective, or adverbs. So it's very obvious to us that here we must use an adverb. Okay, and to make it easier for you, that let's see a list of adverbs that you may take some notes from here, so that it will help you that when another question you will go for solving. Okay, first let's this one, that what actually the function of an adverb. It tells when, where, and how an action is performed, or indicates the qualities or degree of the action. Okay, many adverbs end in ly, and you see that whenever that you will add an ly at the end of every adjective, then this very adjective will become an adverb. So the adverbs that tell us when, where, and how an action is performed. Okay, this is why according to the function that we may give the name of adverb in this way, adverbial of time, that it indicates time. So all the words what are written here, all are giving or indicating time: ever, never, now, soon, till, still, then, today, tomorrow, when, yesterday. So all the words that giving us time. And then place, these are known as adverbial of place, and there are many words that are used as adverbial of place, like here, near, there. And third one is adverbial of action, that it tells us how an action is performed. Okay, here are some examples, and that well, quite, rather, too, very, once, not, only, almost, enough. And also adjective plus ly. So all these words are used as adverbial of action. And I think it's clear to you that if the question is like modify a verb, then we must use an adverb. So dear learners, we are about to the end of the first part of the lesson of the uses of modifier. Still lots of items of using modifier remain undiscussed or untouched. Inshallah, in some other classes we will try to get an overall ideas and discuss all the related topics of the uses of modifier. Hope these videos or class will be very effective and helpful for you. Till then, wishing you all the very best, and thank you for watching.